Arashi, Prince of the Sky. Chapter 30. Fight or Flight.
Get it from behind! Aim for the center! Shy! Watch out!
The golem was moving much faster than it looked.
Nana, I'm gonna need you to do something other than yell at me, girl.
Shamari was rolling out of the way of the golem's massive fist. After finally reaching the cathedral, the team didn't waste any time trying to take the creatures down. So far, it wasn't working. But at least they diverted its efforts on destroying the cathedral in order to focus on them. It seemed like they arrived just in time. One more good smash could have destroyed the entire building. Shamari was running up behind the creature, firing his spirit bullets. Bishop was by his side with his full arsenal of heavy metal, firing his shotgun at the creature.
Shy, aim your shots in one area. Maybe we could ditch it or something.
Their main objective was to distract the creatures long enough until Arashi returned. He's the only one that will be able to stop and defeat fear. Luckily, with Frank's help, they were able to nudge the creature back from the doors, but the crystal golem weighed so much, he was only able to push it back about 20 yards. But they didn't just have the golem to worry about. Anad was flying around like a combustible hornet, throwing his fireballs like firecrackers. Nanabe was focusing her energy on deflecting his attacks and firing her own energy balls back at him. She wasn't the best fighter. Her strength was in healing and defense, but sometimes the best defense is a strong offense. Anad threw another fireball her way, but she used her power to alter the ball's trajectory and made it hit the golem instead, knocking it backward.
You think you're bad, girl, huh? Well, catch this!
Anad was plummeting himself toward the ground like a meteor. Nanabe was able to jump out of the way just in time, but the blast sent her hurtling backward. She slowed down in midair and dropped to the ground gently.
Thanks. Where's that backup, Frank?
Frank helped Nanabe up to her feet. It was still raining, and the darkness of the night made it difficult to see. The raindrops were literally evaporating over Anad's head before they reached him. He stood up and glared at them, and they began backing away slowly.
Hey, yo! We need some help over here!
Shamari was jumping out of the way from another swing from the golems, but slipping in some mud. Before he was crushed, Bishop pushed him out of the way, narrowly missing being flattened.
Thanks, Papa B. This shit is dangerous. This shit's eating our attacks like Skittles, man. What are we gonna... Get out the way! Time to die!
As Anad was hurtling towards them, he hit an invisible wall and ricocheted off of it into a nearby building.
Oh my God! That was closer than a swamp rat tap dancing on a gator's tongue in hell. Jesus, Louise.
Oh, man, what are you talking about, man? Hey, yo, Martin, thanks for the assist, man. Pew, pew. Teamwork.
Shamari was trying to wipe some of the mud off his soaking clothes. Martin was standing behind them with his hands still raised. Suddenly, the giant crystal fist came crashing down upon them. It collided with his shield, knocking Martin out instantly. Bishop caught him before he fell to the ground.
I got you, son. Come on, Shy, we gotta move.
Bishop hoisted Martin onto his shoulders, then ran the opposite way of the golem. Shamari was right behind him, firing his gun. The golem was quick and caught up to them easily. It lifted its giant foot, about to smash them like ants, but Frank used his powers to lift the creature off the ground, if only for a moment.
Shy, take the shotgun. Blast that thing.
Bishop tossed Shamari his 3-barrel heavy-duty shotgun. It was so heavy, Shamari nearly dropped it when he caught it. But he didn't waste any time. He spun around, charged it up with spirit energy, and let loose a barrage of bullets at the creature. Frank released the gravity, and the creature was pushed back into some nearby buildings. The impact caused a mini earthquake.
Ooh, shit. Ooh, pew, pew, baby. That was all me. Hell yeah. I'm gonna have to keep this baby. Holy God.
Bishop made us a safe cover out of the rain so that he could lay Martin down, who seemed to have recovered from his unconsciousness.
My heart.
Hey, Papa B, you alright?
Bishop had yelled out, grabbing for his chest, and he dropped to his knees. Shamari came skipping over as Bishop took a deep breath, cracked his neck, and stood back up, snatching the shotgun from Shamari.
Whew, I'm all good, little boy. Whew, must have been them cheese biscuits I had on the plane. Oh, hey, great shot, man. I promise, when I'm all gone, the shotgun's all yours.
What you mean gone? Papa B, what are you talking about, bro? Anyways, I won't hold my breath.
Huh? Shy, that is not what... Move!
Bishop pushed Shamari out of the way of another fireball. Anad was hurtling towards them, screaming bloody murder. They narrowly dodged the attack, but it caught Bishop's arm. Thankfully, the rain put it out, but the damage was done. Bishop could feel the burn on his skin. Anad was upon them, dagger in hand, swinging wildly, trying to land the hit on Bishop.
You move fast for a senior citizen!
Anad spat, landing a side kick, which Bishop had to block with his burned arm. Through the pain, Bishop was able to grab Anad by the leg and swing him over his shoulders to the muddy ground below, knocking the wind out of him.
Senior citizen that, you little punk ass.
Bishop was stepping on Anad's neck and aiming his shotgun right at his head.
Make another move. I promise you I'll blast your ass into Kingdom Come.
See you in hell!
Anad was laughing hysterically. The rain was falling on his face, and it made it look like his actual face was melting into insanity. He spat, an extraordinarily long tongue out of his mouth, like a harpoon. It surged forward, and without warning, the sharp tongue came shooting out the other side of Bishop's neck. Bishop pulled the trigger and completely obliterated Anad's head from his body, leaving the rest of his body limp.
No!
Nanabe was running towards him as he stumbled backward, clutching his throat, and blood was running down his hand and over his shirt like a river. Damn it, Bishop! Don't you die on me, old man! I wasn't holding my breath, I promise! Shimari was cradling Bishop's head in his hands. Martin recovered and walked up to them as Nanabe ran over.
Here, let me see him.
She tore off a piece of her dress and pressed it to his neck. He was choking on his blood, and he didn't have much time before it filled his lungs and drowned him.
Okay, I gotta work fast if I'm gonna heal him. You guys cover me.
She pulled out her crystals and got to work as quickly as she could. The crystal golem recovered and was smashing up the nearby buildings. After it noticed them, it began to stampede their way. Franck, Shimari, and Martin stood their ground, ready to do whatever they could. Bishop's wound was healing, slowly but surely.
It's okay, Papa B. I'm gonna fix this. Just try and relax, okay?
Hey, leave us alone, you big dumb bastard!
Shimari was yelling at the creature as he fired his rounds at the center of the golem. Its massive body simply ate the bullets when suddenly it stopped mid-stride. The center of its chest began to glow a deep red, and then it doubled over on its giant fist. The glowing began to brighten as something appeared to be burning from the inside.
What did you do?
Man, I don't know. I just shot the damn thing. Hey, but we shouldn't let our guards down. Just wait, what the
Shimari's words trailed off as the center of the golem began to melt like lava onto the ground below. It was a shapeless form at first, but once it reached the ground, it began to form on its own. The lava creature stood on its own with 2 legs and 2 arms. It was still on fire, and its lava body was hardening into black coal.
Oh shit, y'all. We gonna die.
Shimari, it's been so long how I've missed you.
What? You don't know me, fool. I'll beat your ass, nigga. Oh, God. Here we go. Fear was laughing hysterically as the golem crumbled to the ground, no longer inhabited by fear. Shimari wasn't bluffing, though. He was prepared to face fear. He was prepared to do whatever was necessary.
Shy!
Nope. Not another word, Nana. You focus on him. I'll take it from here. Hey, you two. Stay close to them. Shimari was pulling out a chain from under his shirt. Attached was a ruby crystal. He plucked it from the chain, put it between his teeth, and crushed it.
Shimari!
She tried yelling out again, but it was already too late. His body began to glow and vibrate at a higher speed. Martin and Franck took several steps back, unaware of exactly what was happening. Hey, it's okay, Nana. This is the vision I had. The only way it could be.
Rather interesting entertainment.
Shimari's body began to glow even brighter. He bent down to his knees as his body vibrated faster and faster. Fear raised his hands, and suddenly the ground began to shake and come apart. Martin put up his force fields around them in defense of whatever was about to happen. Then, a giant crystal hand came up from the ground and rose to the surface, followed by another, and 4 more. Suddenly, they were surrounded by a gang of crystal golems.
Where the hell are you assholes?
Franck yelled into the walkie-talkie, trying to look for that backup. The walkie-talkie gave some feedback, and a voice came through the other end. As Franck turned around, he could see a gang of troops marching down the narrow alleys toward them. In every direction, dozens of soldiers now filled the space. General Cox was leading the front line.
Aldahara, attack!
The soldiers stood between Fear and the golems, and Shimari, who was about to explode.
Thank goodness.
The hole in Bishop's neck finally closed. She turned him over, and he began coughing up the blood and water that had collected in his throat. Fear laughed and raised his hands again.
Go!
Fear commanded as the golems began their attack. But just as they were moving, a shot rang out from the distance, and in the next moment, Fear's head exploded like a watermelon. The golems stopped dead in their place.
Mama's got a brand new bag, sucker!
Burmy was hidden in her sniper position a half a mile away. Ishara chirped happily next to her. The rain had stopped, and the moon was full and bright, like a second sun. Burmy cocked the gun, ready to hit him again. Fear recovered as his head reformed on his body. It looked directly to where Burmy was hiding, raised his hands, but stopped when the air around them exploded into light. Shamari was hovering above the ground. His spirit energy was stronger than it had ever been before. He'd stored it in the crystal for years, and so he's completed his transformation into his spirit form, the sea dragon, but kept some of his human features, like his hands that held a giant scythe. He had a long, angular green snout, and his dark scales were shimmering from the moonlight. His energy was massive, and so he reached out his mind to include Burmy, Bishop, and Nanabe. Hey, sorry I didn't tell y'all about this sooner. You can't know everything, sis, but this is my destiny, and I'm walking into it now. Thank you for always being there for me. I hope I didn't give you too much grief. I'm really not as dumb as you think. Bishop, I can never thank you for all the things you taught me. I've done my best to do better for you and Burmy. You guys are my family, and I do this for you.
How touching! Final farewells are in order. Rise!
Fear screamed as Anad's headless body burst into flames and disappeared, then reappeared next to Fear, alive again and all intact.
Ah, man, shit! Come on, damn! Can't anybody say dead around here?
Kill them! Kill them all!
The golems began their march again. Shamari jumped out ahead of the soldiers and swung his giant scythe through the air, and the energy from the scythe went hurtling towards the golems. On impact, they all simultaneously were knocked backward off their feet.
Yeah! Get him, boy! Ugh, an annoying nuisance. Attack!
Hell yeah, bring it on! Nanabe clutched her crystals in her hand. She knew he wouldn't be able to keep this up for long. She looked toward the cathedral. There was a hint of blue light coming from it. They just needed to hold on for just a little longer. The troops surged forward to try to keep the golems at bay. Anad burst into flames as his snake body and slithered towards them. Fear transformed into his shadow guise and took to the air. Shamari followed behind him. Nanabe looked on after them, worried to pieces.
Hey, don't worry about him, Cher. He's gonna be okay. We need you down here.
Bishop said, picking up his shotgun and leaning his hand on her shoulder.
Thank you, Cher, for saving my life. I thought I was dying for sure. Can't believe that nasty motherfucker stuck his tongue through my neck. I can't believe it.
She smiled and hugged him, remembering what Ishara had told her.
Nanabe, here, now!
They surrounded the golems and were fending themselves against Anad's attack. Their numbers were working for them. Nanabe caught a glimpse at Bishop just before she was gonna run over. He grabbed her by the hand.
Nanabe Wise! What in the hell are you doing with them?
She looked at him, unable to answer. Pulling free of his arm, she rushed over towards them. Bishop looked towards the general with hatred in his eyes. Memories of years past were flooding his mind, but he didn't have time to process all of that right now. He had to do all he could do to help win this battle. He followed behind her, holding his shotgun ready. Meanwhile, in the sky, Shamari was at a standoff with Fear. They were darting through the night sky like blurs, landing blows and challenging each other's energy. But Shamari felt the strain of staying in this form. He wouldn't last for too much longer, but then again, he didn't have to. He knew he didn't have the power to defeat Fear, but at least he had the courage to try and buy time for Arashi to arrive. He looked into the eyes of Fear, and his shadowy figure blowing in the wind like a loose piece of toilet tissue in a pool of dark water. He wasn't afraid to die. Freedom was inevitable.
You don't stand a chance, you little insect! I'm going to crush you and rip you from the inside out!
Oh man, why don't you shut the hell up? You don't scare me!
Well, why don't you shut the hell up? You talk a lot. Is it to keep the voices in your head from telling you how much of a disgusting disgrace you are? You're a disgusting disgrace!
Lame! I'm a boss! I don't know who you've been talking to!
Lies! I can smell your fear! I can taste it even!
Just before they collided, a bright light came shining down from the moon. It was only for a split second, but he felt a new surge of energy ripple through his body. He swung his mighty scythe and struck Fear dead on, sending him spiraling down to the ground into a cluster of homes.
Woo! Thanks, Moon Spirit.
Fear came blasting out of the trenches like a tornado. It was moving faster than it was before. Shamari could barely get his scythe up in time to block Fear's dagger from stabbing him in the chest. Fear moved like a blur, his dagger whirling wildly, trying to stab him. Thanks to the extra strength he was just given, he was able to fend it off, but barely. Then Fear just stopped dead in his tracks. Breathing heavily, Shamari looked at the shadow creature before him, its glowing red eyes piercing his courage. Then, like the fog, he began to dissipate. His semblance just whisked away in the night air.
What the hell is going on now?
You have to keep your mind clear.
Hello? Ladybird? Ishara, is that you? Tweet, tweet! Tweet, tweet!
Wow. Even at a time like this, you are still a ridiculous jokester. Listen, you have to keep your mind clear. Fill it with as much light as you can. Don't give him an inch. No doubt, no shame, or he will destroy you.
Well, damn. All right, drama. Okay, I got you. I'll do my...
His victory didn't last long. He was cut off when a black ball suddenly appeared in front of him and exploded. The black matter expanded and swallowed everything. Even the Medina itself. The entire city was covered in darkness.
Much better.
Shamari! Shamari!
He heard his name being called, but it couldn't be who he thought it was.
Mom? No. Nana! Ishara! Can you hear me?
Nothing. His connection was cut off. It was just him and Fear.
Shamari, what the hell are you doing?
Dad?
He recognized the sound of his father's voice, always angry with him at something he did or didn't do.
Wait. No. Focus. They're not here. Focus on the glow.
Glow? What the hell are you talking about? That spirit glow crap is for women, Shamari. I ain't raised you to be no sissy.
The voice of his father rang out. He tried to ignore his baiting, but the memory of his father's verbal abuse began rushing in.
You hear me, boy? Get out of that grass and get to your schoolwork. I ain't raising you to be no shaman or no damn witch.
His anger was beginning to slip through the cracks of his focus.
You ain't raised me at all.
Shy, please don't argue with your father.
All right. Shut up, Mom. Nice try, asshole. I'm over this shit already.
Shamari was attempting to refocus his energy, his glow. The light was beginning to expand around him.
You ain't built like me, son. You're broken. You're the reason we died. You. We had to get away. You're a grade A pain in the ass. You stupid little bastard.
The voice of his father spat viciously, but Shamari remained calm. By now, he was used to people talking about him, and thanks to his father's abuse, there was nothing anyone could say that could harm him anymore. Shamari smiled to himself, keeping his energy glowing bright as it expanded wider and wider.
It's your fault.
The voice of his mother rang out with such despair. He felt just the tiniest twinge of pain in his heart. Then he was gone. Suddenly, he was transported to his childhood home in the forest. He was standing on the lawn, watching his father walk up to him. His mother and Anabe were standing together at the doorway, holding on to one another.
Come here, boy. Lift up your shirt.
Off of me.
Are you wearing perfume, boy?
No.
No what, you little disrespectful shit?
No, sir.
If I find out you out here being something that you ain't, I'll kill you, I tell you. I'll kill you. Understand me?
He tried to turn away, but his father grabbed him by the wrist and twisted it.
No, this isn't happening. No.
He tried to escape his father's grip. Then all the air left his body when he felt his father's fist in his stomach. He doubled over. Then everything seemed to happen in slow motion. He could hear the sound of an Anabe yelling after him, telling her father to stop, but he hit him again and again and again, until he felt like his body was paralyzed. The grass disappeared underneath his feet. As his father released him, he began to fall, and he fell until he hit the ground hard. He stood in a pool of water, nothing but water for as far as the eye could see, over the blue and orange horizon. The light from the full moon was luminescent. From the moon, he saw a figure drifting down towards him. The Luna Moth, the spirit of the moon. She flapped her massively beautiful wings, soundlessly sending waves of glittering starlight dancing into the darkness.
It's time to come home.
Her voice was somber and motherly. Shamar looked down at the dark water. The tears ran down his eyes into the water below, his shallow breaths catching in his chest.
Don't be sad, my son. You have done your very best. You should be proud. Now, it is time to be.
He looked up at her and took a deep breath. He nodded his head and closed his eyes as the glow began to envelop his body. It flowed from the tip of his head down to his toes, and the water began to glow as his body began to float, as his spirit became reunited with the moon. End of chapter 30.